What's up, everybody? It's Hunter Bowden with Proven Fishing. Today is a tiller tad kind of day. So we got our Texas rig tiller tad. We're gonna end up putting that on first and do it the same way we did the last time in the last video. Tiller tad on a buzz bait. Yeah, this is the same color as last time. Doesn't have a skirt on it, just so we can see the exact way that tiller tad works. Third, we're going to be throwing one of JR Custom Lures hand-tied spinner baits with a tiller tad on the back of it too. This has that Indiana blade and a small iridescent holographic, I think is what he calls it, Colorado blade. And then fourth, we're going to be throwing a chatterbait, or a sonic wave as Charlie likes to call it, hand-tied also by Charlie himself, black and red, with a black and red tiller tad. And then lastly, we're going to tie on a football head jig in a bluegill color from 6 Cents, and then just a normal watermelon pumpkin seed color. Let's tie on one of these tiller tads and get into the tank. So right there it just looks like one of those baby bass fry feeding off the bottom. Got a nice gold and black flake in it. There's a good shad swim to it. Has a little bit of wobble. Moves really darn well. Really like it. Doesn't matter what you do with it, it floats right back up. Doesn't matter how slow or how fast you move it, it looks just like a shad. Alright, next is that tiller tad on the spinnerbait here. And as you can see, that tail just coincides right with that Indiana and Colorado blade. This thing's awesome. Absolutely love it. As soon as you pick up and you start reeling, that thing starts acting with that spinnerbait. Alright, going in now is that chatterbait with the red tiller tad on the back of it. Alright, going in now is that tiller tad with the jig. So on these jigs, it doesn't matter if it's a football head or, you know, swim jig, ball head jig. Granted, you want to be a little bit more finesse with a ball head jig in a sense, smaller wise, but it doesn't matter what jig you put with this tiller tad. You know, you can swim it, you can use it like a normal jig, you know, hit the bottom of it, bounce it up and down a little bit, pitch it, flip it, and this tiller tad is going to get the job done for you. So overall, in this tank, it showed no matter what you put with this tiller tad, it doesn't matter if it's jig, if it's a spinnerbait, if it's a chatterbait, Texas rigged. We couldn't really go through the buzzbait because my tank's not big enough, so hopefully this year I can get buzzbait action with this tiller tad for y'all. Or if I have anybody who has some of that y'all could send me, I'll put it in one of these videos next and, you know, link it to this one or whatever. But this tiller tad is 100% universal. Like I said, you know, the Texas rigged, this is a 3/0 vector offset worm hook with a 1/4 ounce Titan tungsten worm weight, and then, you know, you got your chartreuse, I think he called it coleslaw is what this one was, chartreuse white, black spinnerbait hand tied by Charlie himself with that tiller tad. Then you got a black and red chatterbait, which I'm going to be using a lot pre-spawn and right now, with that red tiller tad on it. And then you got your jigs. You know, this one is a bluegill colored from 6th Sense football head jig that I threw a tiller tad on. I'm probably going to be throwing more ball head jigs this year, from around 3/8 and 1/2 ounce. But you know, go check out Vector Hooks, go check out JR Custom Lures. You know, get your hats from JR Custom Lures or Vector. Vector has really cool hats that I actually am going to order soon, and grab some hooks from them. I'll have another video later on changing out hooks from, you know, your stock hooks on your jerk baits and your crankbaits and many different hard baits to the tornado trebles and the tornado trebles that have the little feathers on them. You know, go look at all those guys, go hit them up, check them out, follow Mike Foster Outdoors. He's one of the ones who gave me an idea to just take one bait and put it all together and pick one of my favorite baits that I have and I'm going to use for everything this year. So go check him out at Mike Foster Outdoors and learn a few things from him. But hopefully y'all enjoyed this. You know, like it, comment, give me ideas, and if you liked it, subscribe so you can see more like this. So we'll see you next time.